All right, fellas. If you've ever felt stuck when it comes to achieving a certain goal, or when it comes to leveling up in a certain area of life, doesn't matter what area of life it could be. It could be professional goals, it could be finances, it could be relationships, it could be your health. Doesn't matter. If you've ever felt stuck, like you're just not moving and advancing in that goal, um, today's episode is going to be for you. Um, a lot of people struggle with what we're going to be talking about today. And what I'm going to share today is going to be hugely important. I don't even know if hugely is a word, but it's going to be massively important for you getting unstuck and actually being able to achieve the goal. But here's the key, and I'm going to challenge you up front before we even start this episode. The things I'm going to share with you in this episode will only work if you believe it. If you believe the words that I'm going to share with you on this episode, your ability to get unstuck will be directly dependent upon your ability to believe every single word that I talk about in this episode. It's time to get unstuck. It's time to achieve our goals. It's time to be elite men today on Elite Performance with Dr. Brad. Let's get it. All right, fellas. So today we're talking about what I consider to be the number one reason why people, and specifically us as men, as high achieving men, struggle to achieve our goals, and also struggle to sustain or maintain these goals. And so there is not a single man who is listening to this who does not want to live an amazing life. I just believe that beyond a shadow of a doubt. There's not a single person who doesn't want to live a phenomenal life, a life where you're crushing it at work, you're crushing it in your professional life, you're achieving your goals, you are working out, you have great relationships with your spouse or significant other and kids and friends, and you are showing up the way that you dream of as a man. There's not a single person who doesn't want to do that, like showing up as a great father, husband, business owner, entrepreneur, man of faith, and just killing it in life. That was my dream, right? I wanted it all. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, it's the same thing for you. But in order to have results, in order to have the outcomes that we're looking for in each of these areas in our life, we have to do action. We have to take action. Action leads to results. That's just it. You have to take action. If you're trying to lose weight or if you're trying to get in shape, you got to take action in the gym. If you're trying to make more money in your business, there are actions that you have to take. If you're trying to have a better marriage, there are things, actions, behaviors, things that you actually have to do. And to the level that you habitually do those actions, that you consistently do those actions, it will turn into results. So in essence, our results are equal to the actions that we consistently put in place. Okay. Now, here's the challenge is that we're stuck because we're not consistently taking the actions that we need to in our faith, in our finances, in our health, in our wealth, in our relationships, in our businesses, in our career. Because the reality is, if we were doing those actions, we would already have the results. So you're wanting these results in these different areas of life. You're wanting to achieve these goals, but those goals are directly contingent upon your ability to do the actions. Now, historically, the way many of us feel is that, okay, well, we got to do the actions. I got to do the workout. I got to put in time with my wife. I've got to show up like a certain way for my kids. I've got to do these certain actions and behaviors to earn more income, to make more money, to be a better man of faith. All these different things that we have to do, since we know that our results are contingent upon those actions, we're like, well, we just need to work harder at the actions. We just need to do more actions. And typically we think if we just get our act together. Look, I just got to get my act together. I just got to buckle down and take it serious. How many times have you ever thought that? Like, you know what? I'm gonna get in shape now. Like, I just gotta get my mind. I just gotta get my act together. Right? Almost gave it a rape. Almost gave the punchline, if you will, away right there. But it's like you just think like I just gotta get my act together. I just gotta do it more. I just gotta do more workout. I just gotta be more disciplined, is how we think. I just gotta put in more reps. If I could have some more self-discipline, some more willpower, maybe even some more accountability, I just need to buckle down and do the work. That's typically how we think about going about it. I just gotta do the workouts. I just gotta I just gotta make more sales. I just gotta see more patients. I just gotta do. And theoretically, it makes sense because we know actions lead to results. I mean, for the longest, this is how I thought. It's like I just got to lift more weights. I got to do more cardio. If I'm talking about my health aspect of my life, I just got to see more patients. I just got to do more procedures. I just got to try harder at my marriage. I just got to try to be a better man of faith. I just got to be a better Christian, right? Uh, I just need to be a better father. I just got to make more sales in my business. Like, I just got to do the actions. This is how I thought for the longest period of time. But I don't know if you've ever experienced this. You work harder and you may you may achieve the result. You may actually achieve the goal, but then it's not sustainable. Like, you don't sustain the goal. You achieve it, but you don't sustain it. Or you may start getting close to it, but something happens or you do something that kind of brings you back down. So you get closer to the weight goal, you get closer to the wealth goal, and but something happens to either make you lose it or you just can't sustain it. Now, a lot of people refer to this as kind of self-sabotage. You get close to the goal, but something happens. You get close to the goal, but you do something that kind of almost um, takes you off track or just takes you away from the ability to actually be able to achieve the goal. You get close, but you can't get there. I don't know if this has ever happened to you in any aspect of life, but um, here's the deal: taking more action isn't entirely wrong. Taking more action isn't entirely wrong, but how you go about taking the action, how you go about doing the action is where many people fall short. It is where I had fallen short in the past. Yes, we have to take action, but what do we need to take action toward? Okay. So here's what I found is that oftentimes me being able to level up in a certain area of life, me being able to achieve a certain goal and sustain it didn't have much to do with how hard I worked or how many reps I put in. Because if I did that, like I said, I may hit it, but I couldn't sustain it. Or I might get close, but then I would kind of, you know, as some people define it, self sabotage my way out of not achieving it. And so it wasn't so much about how hard I worked, but more about what I was actually working on. You see, it wasn't about working on the tasks and the behaviors and the actions that were going to turn into results. It was actually that I needed to work on my mindset in order to get the results. See, I was working on the wrong thing that would lead to success. I was working on the wrong thing that would lead to sustainable results. I was working on the thing instead of my mind. I was working on the action instead of the self development, instead of developing myself to lead to the success. See, so oftentimes many of us are just working on the stuff, the actions, because we as men like to do stuff. I've talked about this before. Like, we just like to do stuff. We like to get our hands dirty. We like to feel like we're doing something by doing something, you know? Um, but the reality is that our results don't change if our mind doesn't change. Our results don't change if our minds don't change. See, I'm going to explain this success sequence so that you can understand how this works. Okay. The success sequence goes like this. If you're trying to get a certain result, and let's just call that result fruit. If you're trying to get fruit, okay, the only way to get fruit is to plant a seed. That is the only way to get fruit. Now, follow me here. The success is the fruit. The belief is the seed. So, in order to go from seed to fruit, you've got to plant the seed. The success sequence says this: if I plant the right seed of belief, that belief, if I really plant it and cultivate it and consistently plant that seed of belief, it will then lead to thoughts that are appropriate, that are in alignment with those beliefs, feelings that are in line with those thoughts, and then actions and behaviors that are in line with those feelings that then lead to results. So I'm going to say that again because I need you to understand this. Beliefs, or our identity, I'm going to say identity, belief, mindset, kind of all to kind of mean the same thing. Like the story we are telling ourselves about ourselves, in essence, our beliefs, our internal identity, our mindset. That stuff leads to thoughts that are in alignment with those beliefs. Those thoughts lead to feelings that are in alignment to those thoughts. Those feelings lead to actions and behaviors that we talked about before that lead to results. Okay. So many of us, we're trying to get results by simply planting a branch. We're not going deep enough on the stuff that we need to actually work on that will create new results. We're trying to take a branch and plant it and say, well, if I just plant this branch, it's going to give me apples. No, the only way that you can get apples is to plant apple seeds. Right? So we're just like, let me work on the actions. Let me just work on the branch to try to get something to grow, instead of let me go deeper and actually work on the mindset, the identity, the internal beliefs. The belief is the seed, and the results is the fruit. Now, here's the other thing I need you to understand as I continue to explain this, is that there's what I call the results cruise control. Okay, it's the results cruise control. I want you to think about cruise control in a car. If you're driving in the car and you set cruise control to 70 miles an hour, okay, the goal of cruise control is to keep you at 70 miles an hour, even if the car starts to go faster than 70 miles an hour. If you are in a car and it's going 70 miles an hour set to cruise control, and if you start going downhill, the car will start going faster. But as it goes up to 71, 72 miles an hour, cruise control sets in and will bring you back down to 70 miles an hour. If you start going uphill and the car starts slowing down to 69, 68, 67 miles an hour, it will then speed you back up to keep you cruise controlled at 70 miles an hour. Now, follow me on this. What sets the cruise control is you, right? And the reason it's called cruise control is because it's cruising. It's comfortable. Okay. See, many of us are comfortable at the speed that we're going. But what determines the miles per hour you go on in life is completely set by your mindset and identity. See, if you want to go faster, we're trying to go faster in life. We're trying to we're trying to level up. We're trying to go to 75 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. But see, our mindset is set to 70. So you cannot outperform what your mindset and identity and your internal beliefs are. You cannot outperform what your miles per hour is set at. It's like a thermostat. You cannot outperform what the thermostat is set at. And so we will try to work harder, right? We'll try to work out more. We'll try to do more of the actions to level up in our business, to make more finance, get more finances, to achieve our goals. But we can only get as high as our mindset will let us. We can only get as high as what we set the cruise control to. So what happens is we start working hard. We start getting to 71, 72, 73 miles per hour, and our mindset will pull us back down because that's where it's set to. Our thermostat will bring us back down because it's set to 70. Does that make sense? So when you can understand this, the way to change your results is to change your mind. The way to change your results is to change the way you think. That's how you get different results. It's not by working harder. It's by working on the mind to move the thermostat up, to turn the dial up in the car to go from 70 to 75. Okay? So here's what I need you to understand is that beliefs determine behavior, right? Consistent beliefs turn into consistent behaviors that turns into consistent results. See, because if you think about the success sequence that I said, it's the beliefs that end up leading to the behaviors. We know that the behaviors lead to results, but you can't just focus on the behaviors. The way the behaviors change is by changing the beliefs. So I need you to embed that into your brain. Beliefs determine behaviors. Belief determine behaviors. Now, the beliefs being elevated, the beliefs being turned up, turning the dial of the cruise control up means that you have to change your beliefs. And that's work. You actually have to work at changing your beliefs. This is what I call a personal development plan. You got to have a personal development plan to change the way you think. You're not just going to all of a sudden think different, right? You have to have a way to develop a plan to develop your mind and grow your mind and strengthen your mindset. Okay. You have to change the story that you are telling about you, that you're telling yourself about you, in order to write a different story in life, in order to have different results in life. Right? But there's a way to tell yourself the different story. There's a way to write a different story. You got to tell yourself a different story in your mind. You got to change your identity. You got to change your mindset. You got to change your beliefs in order to change the behaviors that lead to action. We got to put our effort toward the right thing. So my question to you is, do you have a personal development plan? Do you have a plan in place to be able to say, you know what, if I follow this plan, I can change my mind and I can change my identity. I can change my beliefs that will lead to the behaviors that eventually lead to the results in any area of life, mind you, right? I'm trying to become a better husband. I got an idea of what that looks like. I can change my belief of who I am, which will change the behaviors of how I show up as the husband. See, because if you believe you are something, you will behave as you are that person. But the belief has to come first. See, I always make this analogy to Steph Curry. I'm a Steph Curry fan. He's just a great basketball player, great shooter. But the reason he takes the shots is because he believes he can hit them. Right? The reason he takes the threes, he believes he can hit them. The reason why Jordan took the shots at the end of the game is because he believed he could hit them, right? So you behave the way that you believe. And you can do that and change that in any area of life. You can change the way you behave as a husband. You can change the way you behave as a father. You can change the way you behave as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And you can set that compass of belief to where you want to end up later. And then as you change the thermostat, as you change the mental cruise control, you will then do the behaviors that will lead to the belief that you set. You see what I'm saying? You set the thermostat in your own house. You set the cruise control in your own car. You set it. You are currently getting the results of what you set your cruise control to right now. That's the reality. You may not realize it might be an aha moment now, but the results you're getting right now is completely dependent on the behaviors that you are doing that get that result. And those behaviors are completely set to some sort of belief that you have in your head. Okay. So, do you have a personal development plan? Here are the things that will change your belief. Here are the things that need to be done in order to consistently change your belief. You have to change the internal environment in your mind. You have to change the internal environment. And the way that's done is through input, things that you input into the brain. So, what are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching? This is how we input ideas and things into our brain, is by listening to things, is by reading things, and is by watching things. So what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading? You got to become self-aware of that. You got to take a little bit of personal inventory and say, what am I reading? What am I watching? What am I listening to? And what you consistently listen to and watch and read is what you'll become, in essence, what you consistently do. You have to do it consistently. See, you can't plant one seed and expect to get a whole harvest of watermelons. You got to plant a bunch of watermelon seeds to get some. So you got to consistently listen to the right thing. You got to consistently read the things of who you are trying to become. You got to consistently watch those things that you're trying to become. When you change your mind, you will change your life. But I'm going to say this again, like I said at the beginning of the podcast. You have to believe what I'm telling you. You have to, you're talking about belief. You have to believe that what I'm telling you works, and that it's not going out there trying to work harder some more. Yeah, sure. You can work harder, but you'll work harder if you believe you're the type of person who does. You see what I'm saying? You will work harder if you believe you're the type of person who consistently does that, not just by working harder. So if you believe what I'm telling you in this episode, if you truly believe this, your life changes as a result of this, right? But if you don't believe that what I'm telling you works, it'll never work. I'm giving you the keys. I'm literally giving you the keys of what works. So you gotta create an action plan. You gotta create a personal development plan, a personal growth plan. Okay. And to me, it needs to require three things: consistency. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be comprehensive, and it's got to be Christ influenced. Okay. Consistency. It needs to be daily, right? The stuff you listen to, read, or watch, it needs to be daily. Let me tell you why it needs to be daily. Because as soon as you wake up in the morning, you get 24 hours in your day. If you sleep for 8 hours and you've got 16 hours awake in your day, of that 16 hours, the majority of your day is the world trying to convince you, sometimes even your own mind trying to convince you that you are not the person to achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve. We are working uphill every single day. So the reason it has to be daily is because you are fighting against your own mind. You're fighting against other things trying to create a belief in your mind that you can't achieve or be the man that you're trying to be. Every second of the day, it's going against you. It is you and what you are going to intentionally put in your mind versus what other people are trying to put in your mind or what the world is trying to put into your mind that is going to be in direct opposition to who you're trying to become. So you at the very least daily need to be putting something in your head, right? So it's got to be daily. Second thing, it's got to be comprehensive. And what I mean by that is you got to look at each area of your life. I talked about the 7 pillars of peak performance, 7 areas of your life: uh, faith, family, health, wealth, career, calling. Each of these areas you got to look at and try to figure out, of these areas, which one is am I really looking to advance right now? Which one is most important to me right now? And I will always say this: your faith is the most important aspect of your life. And that's number 3. We'll get to that here in a second. As a matter of fact, your faith is part of your personal development plan. Should be, one of the major components of your personal development plan. But outside of that, in terms of goals, you got to look at each of these areas of your life and see where you're trying to, where you need help, where you need to really develop the most, and make sure that some of your development, what you listen to, read to, and watch, is going to be geared toward that area that you're looking to get better at. If you're looking to become a better husband, if your relationships are where you want to be, you got to figure out, you got to get some content somewhere about how you do that, right? If you're looking to be a better father, if you're looking to make more money, you got to personally develop in that area. You got to develop in that area consistently. You got to put some time in. You got to create time and space for this stuff. You see, because nothing changes if you don't. Sure, you go out there, keep working hard, but nothing's going to change. You got to have a change plan. You got to dedicate time and space toward being able to change. Sure, you need to create time and space toward working, but you got to create time and space to have a change plan over time. Now, as part of that comprehensive thing, you cannot go wrong by working on mindset and identity work. Like anything that's going to tell you and help you believe that you can, that you are able, that you are capable. Anything that's going to help you believe that you can is good personal development, right? Any mindset strengthening stuff, personal development, personal growth and development books, ton out there. And hopefully this podcast serves as some of that for you. And the last one has got to be Christ influenced. See, I firmly believe that the Bible is the hands down the best personal growth and development book that exists. Number one is truth, right? It's a book of belief. It is a book that is part of that book is just trying to convince you of who you are. And through stories and parables and teaching, is trying to show you how to live in order to become abundant, in order to be able to live out all of the rights and massive privileges of a perfect kingdom that you are a part of. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Part of a kingdom that is perfect, that has no, there's no sickness, there's no illness. It's full of wealth. The gold that we, gold, like gold stuff, what we wear is what is walked on in the kingdom. This is what you have right and privilege to. It is trying to convince you and help you believe that this is how you live. This is how you show up. It's telling you who you are. It's a book of belief. It is trying to help you believe who you are. That when God says you are made in his image and likeness, that you have characteristics of God. That you can do all things through him who strengthens you. So the Bible is big. This is why in the morning routine training that I have. You can find that morning routine training. I talk about it on the beginning and the end of this of each podcast, but you can find it on my website. Um, that morning routine training has, says read the Bible daily in the morning. That right there is part of a personal development plan. It's reading scripture every day, right? Um, Christ influence, having this personal development plan be Christ influence is also building a personal relationship with God so that you can believe what he says about you and also believe that he is in you. See, the only issue I have with the self-help world right now, with the kind of secular self-help world, by the way, I'm grateful for that world because it actually started a lot of me really understanding, a lot of this mindset stuff. But it's that it helps to teach you that you can, that you're able, that you are capable. But there's a limit because it's all dependent on you. Let me tell you what's fantastic about having a Christ-centered, faith-influenced personal development plan is that you immediately become limitless because you see God is in you. He is within you. And so therefore, when you can do it, you're saying, I can do it through Christ who strengthens me, who therefore is limitless. Therefore, if I believe in him and I believe he is in me, I am therefore limitless and unstoppable. You see, your limit, there is no limit. There is literally no limit because God has none, right? But if you don't consistently read this, to put this in your brain, to create a belief that creates behavior where you show up different, do you understand how you show up different when you know that God lives in you and that you can do all things through him who strengthens you? Do you understand how when you really believe that, you show up different, you behave different, and therefore you get different results? Okay? Your potential becomes limitless because God has no limits. Listen, guys, I'm wrapping up here, but if you believe what I'm discussing on this episode, your life changes. Period. Period. Because you understand that it's going to require working on the right area in order to achieve results. Now, here's the catcher. Man, here's the catcher. Is that for a lot of people who believe this, they won't carry it out consistently over time. They may believe this temporarily and be like, oh, I need to do this. I need to apply this personal growth plan to my life. And they'll be excited about it for a little while and then we'll give up on it. Okay. And they'll forget the results that this creates. And you want to know why? It's because there's a high likelihood you may not see results immediately. See, you got to put in some time and effort toward this. It's no different than anything else. You start your business, you don't just start making millions immediately, right? You start working out, you don't start seeing muscles immediately. You got to put in some work. And see, people think I'm just going to start doing this personal. I'm going to start thinking different and things immediately going to start happening different. Well, they start happening, but no different than a seed that when it gets planted, you don't see it sprout immediately. It's got to develop some roots. It's got to develop some foundational things to be able to sustain what's going to grow as a result of it. You don't see the roots. It's happening underground. When you start working on this stuff, man, it's creating roots, things that you can't see, to create a sustainable, tree that can withhold and withstand the storms and the things that are going to come and the rain that is going to try and knock it down, but create sustainable results, sustainable fruit, right? So the biggest thing that's going to try and take you away from consistently doing this is not seeing results immediately. That's why you got to believe it. That's why it's called faith. You got to believe it enough to practice it without seeing results. That is faith. Walking without seeing, right? You're going to have to believe it. And the faith is the walking it out part. Okay? Because if you believe it, your behavior will show it that you will continue to do this, and then eventually you'll have fruit. So listen, man, faith, in essence, is the biggest contributor to your results. I'm giving you the secret. And I pray, I really hope that every single person who listens to this believes in what I'm talking about. Because if you believe, things change. So I challenge you, number one, to believe. Believe what I'm talking about. Believe that this is what you're looking for to take your results to the next level. And develop a personal growth and development plan, fellas. I hope this blesses you. I hope this blesses you.